Hello and welcome to this special program. I'm Wang Guan. Greetings from the Rio de Janeiro region in Brazil. The Chinese influence over Latin America is under scrutiny. What is China doing in this part of the world? What is the Chinese endgame? And we're here to find out. We're here at the Rio de Janeiro sub-power transmission system of the Belo Monte ultra-high voltage power projects, which, by the way, is the longest ultra-high voltage power transmission projects anywhere in the world. It transmits power from Brazil's northern hydropower-rich regions to the south, where most Brazilians call home. A quick example. This project powers some 70% of residents here in the Rio de Janeiro region. How did this project come about within a fairly short period of time? How come no other countries other than China and Brazil can jointly deliver this? I don't have all the answers, but I know those who do. Can you tell us a bit about your name and your affiliation, first of all?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you very much for your visit. It's a pleasure being here with you. My name is Oswaldo Paro. I'm an electrical engineer, and right now I'm responsible by the operation and maintenance of a transmission company named XRT that belongs to State Grid Brazil Holding Brazil.
Great. We know that this project hosts many firsts in the world and in Brazil. Can you tell us about those firsts?
Yeah, for sure. This is a really impressive project because the HVDC project is a knowledge project in Brazil, but the technology that was improved here is really amazing. It's a new kind of way to transmit the power from Xingu, from the Belo Monte Dam. So the technology that is here is totally different that we are as used to do in the Brazilian power sector. Right now we are transmitting 800 kV, and for sure is the most length transmission line in the world in this level of voltage.
How long is it?
More than 2.5 thousand kilometers. This is the length line.
From Brazilian's north to the south.
Yeah, that's right. It's from the Xingu region in Pará State and come until this substation, Terminal Rio, exactly in that transmission line, the tower.
So much work must have been involved in this.
During the construction, it was around 1,000 people working fully hard. And right now, to keep this substation under control, is around 40 people working every day.
Okay, just how difficult technically and from the point of being an engineer of this project. Tell us a bit about that. I mean, to build this from scratch within just, what, 3 years?
Concerning the size of the substation and the strategy that involves this installation, the most difficult part here is to reach the availability level that we are able to deliver to the market. So we are transmitting here with availability higher than 99%. So it's a big challenge to keep this level every day.
And you used direct current instead of alternating current. What's the difference? Why direct current eventually?
Yeah, the direct current is more efficient during the transmission because the losses is too low. So we received a signal from the Belo Monte Dam. We rectify it in direct current, transmit it with minimal losses during the transmission to this substation, that's Terminal Rio. Here we can invert the signal to AC, and this AC we can deliver in the grid of the Brazilian power sector.
So why not other countries or regions experimenting with this ultra-high voltage transmission? Why China, Brazil project?
This kind of technology is most useful in big countries. When you have a big geography of the countries, it's more efficient because you have to transmit the power from the long way. So it's more useful when you have a big countries. In this case, China and Brazil is more useful to use this kind of technology. So in Brazil, we have several HVDC projects, but this is the new one and with higher technology.
And this technology also takes into account environment and the need to protect the environment along the way, right? This direct transit.
Yeah, for sure, because for example, when you transmit during the direct current, it's not necessary any kind of other substation during the transmission line. So you have only one substation, the transmission line, the second substation, so without any other kind of infrastructure in the middle. So it's a way to save the environment. Right now, we are transmitting 50% of the total power generated in the Belo Monte Dam. So we are totally involved with this green power energy. It's really good.
Talk to us about the impact of all these projects, of these buildings, transmission systems, coming down to, making lives better in the south zone of Brazil, in people on the Copacabana beach, on the favela hills and everywhere.
The positive social impact is too high because the power that we transmit here right now is responsible to attend more than 70% of the Rio de Janeiro state. So we are talking about
70% of Rio State.
Of the
That's
Rio
a lot
State.
of people.
It's a lot of people. So we are talking about hospitals, homes, industry, and for sure the social life as well.
How are the Brazilians been reacting to all these projects? Do they feel it? They don't feel it necessarily, right? About this big stuff over there. But when their lights are on, when the surgeries are performed, school lights are on, a couple of beach lights are on where they can play football every day. Their lives are made better.
Yeah, for sure, because right now we are transmitting for 24 hours per day. So we are attending all these people all the time. So the social people, the social life is fully attended by this power. Wherever in the Rio de Janeiro state, we can attend.
As a Brazilian, working alongside their Chinese counterparts in delivering this project to the Brazilian people, how do you feel about this on a personal level?
It was amazing because, look, the possibility to jam with the other culture, it was really good, mainly regarding the Chinese culture. Because the Chinese come, we work together, we work hard, improving every day. Chinese bring the technology, bring the knowledge. Here we apply all this with manpower. It was a really good jam with the both cultures.
Oswaldo, there are questions about the Chinese approach towards Latin America, towards Brazil, saying that the Chinese business models are based on what they call models of being predatory, exploitative, taking away the raw materials, the resources that countries like Brazil has to offer. What do you think of such assessment?
No, this is not true. The relationship among the countries, about the people, is a benefit among the countries, among the cultures. In Brazil, the relationship with China is not like that. Okay, the benefit among the society, among the people, is really improved with this relationship among Brazil and China.
What do you admire the most now that you've been working with the Chinese side for 7 years through different companies? What aspects of the Chinese growth, development that impressed you?
The level of technology that China improves during these 30 or 40 years, it's really impressive. The technology that comes from China is really different than the technology that we use to apply in Brazil. So the level of technology that China and the Chinese people hide is really, really impressive.
I assume there must be some challenges when it comes to environmental assessment in the beginning and the construction of it within a short span of only, 3 years? And then now in operation and in the running stages, there could be all sorts of problems. Troubleshooting those problems, fixing them, that requires partnership between Chinese and Brazilian workers, I suppose.
When we start the implementation of this project, there's a lot of difficulties here, for sure. There is no a big infrastructure for the implementation. So during this period, we have tried to apply some kind of resource, trying to get the better place for the implementation. So after these 2 years, right now, I think that we have reached a very good result.
When it comes to delivering electricity, stability and safety are key. A team of Chinese and Brazilians work closely to make sure that if anything's wrong with this 2,500-kilometer mega project, it got fixed as soon as possible.
Okay, first of all, tell us your name and your job here.
My name is Rodrigo. I'm the operations supervisor of XRTE.
What do you do here? What are you in charge of?
We are in charge of control and monitoring the bipolar 2 transmission line that interconnects the Xingu with the Rio transmission system.
So how does this work? How does this system work to ensure stable and consistent transmission?
We receive the power from the Belo Monte hydro energy plant, and we provide the transmission in DC for Rio de Janeiro. So we can transmit until 4,000 megawatts, which is equivalent of 25% of the energy of Rio de Janeiro state.
And then on a personal level, how do you enjoy working here? Do you enjoy working with your Chinese colleagues?
I enjoy a lot to work together with the Chinese colleagues. We can learn a lot with each other. We can learn about the technology, the conditions of work in Brazil, and also about the technology of the DC system.
Is that why you decided to join State Grid and then continue to work here in the foreseeable future?
Yes, I started to work with State Grid 12 years ago.
12 years ago?
12 years ago.
It's a long time.
First with the construction team, And today I'm working with the operational team.
And finally, what kind of a country do you think China is? Since you've been in touch with the Chinese colleagues and then working for this Chinese company.
I understand that China is a country that invests a lot in technology, also invest in people development to bring the better answer for new equipment, new technologies, and the better environment for a good or operation or construction or maintenance team to provide the better work.
Hello, sir. Good to see you. Can you tell us a bit about what you do here and what do we see here on the screen?
Sim, meu nome é Bruno. Hoje nós estamos fazendo mais um dia aí de trabalho. Aqui nós verificamos todo o monitoramento da subestação, onde nós temos uma ampla visão do que está acontecendo, o que tanto de tensão que está passando na barra, corrente, monitorando todo o sistema para que não tenha nenhum tipo de falha.
Oh, we have a telephone call. What is it about?
Esse telefone é quando chama a nossa central de operação e realmente o pessoal tem que atender aqui para verificar o que foi ocorrido.
And then how do you personally feel about working for State Grid and for this project that is delivering electricity to millions or tens of billions of Brazilians? Does it bring you satisfaction to know that you're working here for the good of the people in Brazil?
É uma grande satisfação trabalhar nessa empresa. Estou há 1 ano e meio trabalhando aqui, estou há alguns anos tentando entrar nessa empresa. Hoje é uma satisfação pessoal estar trabalhando aqui para poder progredir, melhorar a energia do nosso país cada dia.
So what part of the job that brings you the biggest satisfaction, the sense of fulfillment working here for State Grid?
São os desafios, a tecnologia, o ambiente de trabalho, que é muito satisfatório trabalhar aqui.
What are your hopes for Chinese-Brazilian cooperation going forward? We're marking the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relations of China and Brazil.
Que essa união continue, perpetue por longo tempo aí, para que tecnologias e interação interpessoal continue entre o Brasil e China.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time. Victor, can you tell us why you chose State Grid? And after many, many years working here, how do you feel about this company and what you do here?
Ok, atualmente eu já tenho vários anos que trabalho na State Grid e para mim tem sido um orgulho poder ter crescido profissionalmente dentro da State Grid e me sinto muito feliz por ter essa capacidade que ao longo do tempo eu vim adquirindo com a State Grid.
Very good. How do you feel about the Chinese technology put into use here in the Brazilian land, Brazilian soil, and delivering this very impressive project for tens of millions of Brazilians?
Eu acho maravilhosa. Essa é uma grande tecnologia que hoje permite a integração de diferentes tipos de energia no Brasil. O Brasil é um grande país com muita capacidade de geração de recurso hídrico, eólico, de energia, né? E essas tecnologias que a China está trazendo para cá em termos de sistemas de potência vai ajudar a integrar de forma estável e confiável no nosso sistema brasileiro. Por exemplo, energia renovável, que ela vem com uma frequência diferente, através do HVDC a gente consegue integrar esses níveis de potência, esse tipo de energia. Se a gente quiser vender a outro tipo de país, a outro país com outro nível de frequência, consegue integrar também e dar estabilidade para o sistema elétrico de potência brasileiro, que é muito grande e complexo.
So this model is also helping other countries, not just Chinese and Brazilians, but other countries potentially in the world who has a lot of, for example, hydropower in some part of the region and then transmitting it to the region that needs it the most.
Com certeza. Eu acho que o que os chineses trouxeram para cá, o que a China trouxe para o Brasil, é só o começo. Porque essa tecnologia, principalmente de HVDC, ela alcança para a Sul-América inteira.
Critics love to talk about environmental concerns, but let's set the record straight. Belo Monte was designed with some of the highest environmental standards in the world. Transmission lines were carefully routed to safeguard Brazil's rich biodiversity, including jaguars, toucans, and countless plant species. Indigenous communities were consulted, and cultural sites were respected.
Ricardo, tell us a bit about the environmental concerns and regulations that this project has to keep in mind, because we know that Brazil has one of the strictest environmental assessment standards. When building this project, it goes through some of the vulnerable communities when it comes to environment. What are the factors that went into the construction and the assessment initially of this project?
Brazil has a lot of rules and laws about environmental, okay? Mostly because we already have biodiversity, we already have traditional communities, we already have life in nature here. So Brazil defined one rule that defined that you need to have a license, first of all, to define that your project is feasible. The name of this license is LP, is a previous license. Right after that, you need to have another license, that installation license, that allow you to start the construction. And in the end, you will have the operation license that will allow you to start the operation and receive your revenues. Environmental studies in the beginning, monitoring process between the construction, and in the end, all fully reports and the monitoring process for the operation.
Who were the monitors? Are they third-party people from Brazil or from other countries and parties as well?
Sometimes us, as State Grid, sometimes we hire third-party consultancy, specialized guys to provide the monitors of fauna, flora, archaeological, social communities, and others.
Okay, great. And we know that Brazil has one of the best biodiversity in the world.
We do have.
The animal species along the Amazon, in the northern states as well. How did you make sure that you protected those animals while building these projects?
Good question. First, we start to the study before. So which kind of animals, which kind of trees do we have in that place that probably we will cross? And with a lot of respect, we need to, in a period of construction, reduce or try to avoid the impact between the fauna and flora species, okay? And in that time, we have a very huge effort to provide some measures to monitoring, be together with the construction period to try to avoid impacts in that time. We do have special teams for fauna, for example, that in the moment that starts the vegetal suppression to install our towers, we have biologists guys, technicians that works together with guys who will provide the selective suppression cuts for trees and try to reduce the impacts with fauna, for example.
Yeah.
And in the end, every size of area that will provide the vegetal suppression, we need to provide some compensations like reforestation. So in the end, if we need to provide 100 hectares of vegetal suppression, we need to plant more 100 vegetal of trees in Brazil.
I assume that would be a very big spending. Help us understand the scale of that spending in protecting biodiversity, animal species, when it comes to the total cost of this project.
In XRT project, we have more than 80 biologist teams over all our transmission line construction period, that those teams, together with the vegetal suppression, will follow all the steps. And in the end, we could avoid a lot of impact with those guys.
We know that along the routes of this over 2.5 thousand kilometers, there are cultural heritage sites that made Brazilians proud. Very important sites, very important to protect them overall for the Brazilians and for the generations to come. How did you make sure that that happens?
We start in preliminary impact to try to understand where those kind of heritage, archaeological areas that bring to us the history, we try to avoid those areas. If you avoid, we will have no impact about this. But if you have no technician to provide the avoid of this route, we need to affect in a small amount, providing the rescue and bringing history about this. So which kind of community was there 1,000 years ago? And right after that, the rescue of those heritage patrimony, bring the history, we can back this history to society and provide our environmental projects with low impact, you know.
And then overall, you're satisfied with what happened when it comes to taking environmental responsibilities while building this project?
We do have a lot of happiness in the end, because in the end we need to provide a very good transmission of energy around Brazil, bringing the respect with the environment. In the end, our State Grid Brazil company is so happy to provide both services together. Transmission line together with environmental respect.
Very good. Ricardo, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Now, this project is not just about electricity and power. It's also about ecological preservation, protecting the natural species, and helping local communities thrive.
In 2010, SGCC established a holding company in Brazil. After entering the market, we began by examining Brazil's energy resources and observing the overall transmission situation, including the distribution of energy resources and load centers. We found that Brazil's energy resources endowment is very similar to that of China. In China, renewable energy, such as wind and solar power, is primarily concentrated in the northwest and northeast regions, such as the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. China's load centers, however, are mainly located in the north and east China. The transmission distance between the energy resources and load centers spans approximately 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers. Brazil has similar energy distribution characteristics. Hydroelectric power is concentrated in the northern part of the country, near the equator, where renewable energy is primarily located in the northeast. Furthermore, 80% of the load is concentrated in the southern and the southeastern regions, with transmission distance also exceeding 2,000 kilometers. Given these similarities, SGCC decided to promote ultra-high voltage direct current UHVDC transmission technology in Brazil. Brazil was the first country to deploy plus and minus 600 kilovolts UVDC transmission. So our challenge was to introduce China's 800 kilovolt UHVDC technology to our Brazilian counterparts. Today, SGCC has successfully implemented numerous UHVDC projects, all of which are operating very stably through extensive technical exchanges and numerous face-to-face meetings between experts. We were able to successfully deploy UHVDC technology in Brazil, where it is now widely used for power transmission.
What are the highlights when it comes to doing ESG and helping and sustaining communities in the region that you serve?
那么截止目前呢，我们国家电网公司在巴西的一些这种社会公益性的项目呢，这个超过了450个。
As of now, our state Great Corporation has launched over 450 social welfare projects in Brazil, including initiatives such as the Mayor Youth Symphony Orchestra, the preservation of historical sites, and desalination of brackish water, among many others. Through these projects, we have created a better operational environment and brought tangible benefits to the Brazilian people. Here are two examples. One is the Mayor Youth Symphony Orchestra. The orchestra works with children from the favelas, providing support to establish music schools and the orchestra itself. Through this initiative, these children experience the beauty of music and life, helping them to stay away from violence and drugs and encouraging them to appreciate the positive aspects of life. This year, the celebration of the 50th anniversary of China-Brazil diplomatic relations, the orchestra was invited to perform in China, including a flash mob event in Xi'an, as well as a performance at the National Library with Chinese artists, offering a special performance to commemorate this milestone. Another example is the Valongo Wharf in Rio de Janeiro. The Valongo Wharf was a key point of entry for African slaves to Brazil in the late 18th century. In 2011, during preparation for the Rio Olympics, the wharf site was rediscovered, and in 2017, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, designated the Valongo Wharf as a World Heritage Site. Our Brazilian subsidiary undertook restoration and preservation work on the site according to the requirements for intangible cultural heritage. As of October 23, the project has been completed and handed over to the Rio de Janeiro municipal government, and the site is now open to the public.
We know that State Grid has a reputation of having this advanced, very long-established managerial experiences across the world, doing power systems in China, projects around the world. How do you make sure that you create this synergy between the Chinese company and, of course, its Brazilian counterpart?
When our State Grid Corporation operates its overseas business, it's our policy to make sure the operations are market-oriented, long-term and localized. In our subsidiary in Brazil, we currently have a total of 892 employees, of whom only 60 are Chinese, while over 93 are Brazilian. So how can we better align the Brazilian employees with our vision and values? Our Brazilian subsidiary has summarized an approach of one State Grid and integrated this philosophy into daily operations. In practice, we achieve this through leadership training, face-to-face communication with Brazilian employees, and promoting mutual trust, recognition, and win-win cooperation. By fostering these values, we ensure that Brazilian employees are fully integrated into our company's management and daily operations.
That'll do it for this edition of The Hub on CGTN. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Wang Guan in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I'll see you again next time.